sales is a transference of enthusiasm. Tactic 0, before actually picking up the phone, is the level of preparation.
So how do you structure this? What's the right amount of words?
What do you want? What am I going to get from this? And how long are you going to keep me? The 3 key things, yeah? They're asking that every single call.
What happens when you get that negative reaction from someone and they've just told you to F off? Well, Louis, we're back with another episode, cold calling. Everyone's asking for more about the subject. What are your secrets to cold calling? You're a bit of a master at this. I reckon, 10,000 hours you probably spent on it? Back when you used to turn the dial on the phone and now we've got iPhones. Hit me.
Yeah, look, I think, and I have spent a few hours dialing.
Thousands.
And I think the key thing that I learned early on, Dave, when it comes to mastering cold calling is the first secret is you just got to pick up the phone. I see a lot of sales teams, having coached many sales teams over the last few years, definitely a level of call reluctance, and sellers just aren't picking up the phone. So the first thing you got to do, if you want to master it, you just got to pick up the phone and not worry about the outcome that can occur when you pick up the phone.
So you're saying detach yourself from the outcome, just get into the motion of dialing.
Correct.
Is there any sort of warm-up that you would recommend someone doing? I remember a while ago you telling me that you used to listen to a little bit of music just to get yourself into a positive mindset.
Yeah.
Any other sort of tactics that you enroll today?
So one of the things that I do before making a call, and this is why I love Brian Tracy, because Brian Tracy talks about sales is a transference of enthusiasm, and you've got to have an energy. And I'm not talking about an energy where you got to pick up the phone and blast the other person, because potentially you could be calling somebody that's a bit slower paced, right? They're a bit more quieter. So you've got to be able to adapt your style. You've got to approach it with the right level of energy and mindset, yeah? Key tactic, get yourself up, get yourself active. Don't just sit there and look at the phone, right? Get your hands, get a stress ball, do whatever you need to do to get that fun part, right? Make yourself laugh. Music is a great way to do this. I have been listening lately before making calls, Rufus. You've heard it, right? I put the Sonos on, put a bit of Rufus. It gets me sort of really in that right level of, that right mood, and that it allows me to bring the energy I need to pick up the phone. So that's probably tactic 0 before actually picking up the phone, is the level of preparation to get your mindset in a really good feeling. Yeah, you want to have that good energy before picking up the phone.
Being a little bit active. So if you've got a stand-up desk, stand up into the calling, which also helps as well.
Yeah, and I'm a walker, Dave. So, the guys would have seen me today. I was at our recovery business. I probably did a good solid 50 calls, not just outbound, but also inbound. And I'm active. I'm walking. I've got my headphones on. I'm literally walking, pacing outside, because I like to have that level of energy when I'm talking. And I actually talk with my hands. So it's like I'm presenting to somebody on the phone, even though they can't see me.
Well, you are Italian. So if I want to shut you up, I just got to tie your hands up, huh? All right. So now, we spoke about getting your mindset ready for the call. Now let's talk about what to say on the call. So how do you structure this? What's the right amount of words or timing when you're introducing yourself? What do you do? How do you say it?
So remember, the most important part of the call is letting people know the reason for your call. Now, often you'll have to repeat that twice, because when you call someone, even if it's an inbound lead, inbound, outbound, it doesn't matter. The person's not sitting there waiting for the call. This is a big mistake a lot of sellers make. They think, I got an inquiry, I'll call them, they'll know where I'm calling from. It's not the case. Because why? Most of the people that we call, they're doing something. So you've got to break their pattern of thought, because they're on the laptop, they see it, or they might be driving, they could be doing anything. They're not just sitting there going, I'm going to wait for Dave to give me a call. So when the phone number comes up, often they won't recognize the number. Yes, even if you send a pretext to say, I'm going to give you a call now, this is my number and my name is. The reason why you do that, because especially with iPhones, Siri will actually populate maybe Dave. It might say, maybe Dave can't sell Fastuca is calling me, right? So that's one of the tactics of why you send a pretext before calling. Yeah, it'll help increase answer rate. But most people, they're doing something, so you give them a call, you're interrupting them. Inbound, outbound, whenever you call someone, you're interrupting them because they're doing something. So the first 10 seconds, it's critical you tell them the reason for my call. Some people will use a pattern interrupt, right? Which I've seen it work really well. This is a cold call. Can I give you one piece of insight? Some people will leverage a pattern interrupt. I personally, because I've done this for so long, I just love saying the reason for my call. Hi, Dave. It's Louis from X. The reason for my call is because why? The first thing the person that's receiving the call is thinking is, what the hell do you want from me?
Yeah.
Right? What do you want? What am I going to get from this? And how long are you going to keep me? The three key things. Yeah. They're asking that every single call. So our call structure needs to be, why am I calling? What's in it for you? So the 3 W's. Why am I calling? What's in it for you? And essentially the when part, which is how long do you need me for? Now, if we say to somebody, hey, Dave, it's Louis calling from X. This is the reason for my call. This is what you're going to get out of the call. Do you have 10 minutes to chat? They're probably going to say, I don't have 10 minutes. Because why? They're like, well, that's a lot of value that I'm going to give you. I'm going to give you 10 minutes of my time, and I really haven't determined if you're going to give me anything of value.
It's a big investment before I know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's right.
But if you say, have you got a minute to chat? Have you got 30 seconds to chat? Have you got a minute to chat? Most people are like, yeah, I've got a minute to chat.
After the reason.
Correct. The reason for my call is I've noticed X, you've just purchased a new business, noticed, you've just hired a whole bunch of new salespeople. Most organizations that do that suffer X problem. I've got some insight into how you could tackle this to achieve X result, which is the give, the insight-led approach. You've got a minute to chat. Yes, no. Simple, right? Most of them will say, yeah, I have, especially if, and I had one today. I got a call. I answer 100% of cold calls that come through to me. I got one today. I'm not going to name the company, but I did give him a little bit of coaching, and I'll tell you why. Because he rang me up and he said, I'm calling from X and we're offering businesses this. I said to him, thank you for the call, but can I stop you? I go, did you check my LinkedIn profile? And he said, no. And I'm not saying this so that I can come across really aggressive, but I'll give you the reason why I went down this pathway in a moment. I said, did you check my LinkedIn profile? He said, no. I said, okay, do you mind doing me a favor? Check my LinkedIn profile, because if you check, you'll notice that we already use your service in one of the businesses that I'm involved in, right? And he said, oh. So the reason that's important, because you're trying to get my time, but you can't even take the time to do just 30 seconds of research. That's all it would have taken. Yeah. Jump on LinkedIn, do a bit of research, find out a bit about me, and then he could have adjusted his pitch to show me a little bit that he knows me. Yeah. And that is the key difference in 2025. The reason why 1% of cold calls convert, just 1%, Dave. It's because most people are running calls like they were in the 80s. Yeah. They're running an old, outdated system, which it can convert, but you have to do a fuckload of calls in order to convert. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, and what happens when you get that negative reaction from someone where you might have caught them off guard and they've just told you to F off, but you really believe that you can help them. This is your clear ideal customer profile that you're reaching out to. Perfect mix. We can help them, but you just potentially caught them at a bad time. How do you adjust? Do you just hang up? Do you counteract it with something else?
Well, fortunately, I've had a lot of experiences where people have told me to F off, right?
I'll do that on a daily basis.
But look, the reality is with calls where they tell you really, and I've had it with the largest, actually I shouldn't say the name, right? But because if I say the largest in Australia, you'll pick up who it is. I've had a CSO, chief sales officer, literally tell me where to go and hang up the phone. Now, you know what? Okay, cool. I can't deal with that. I cannot respond to that. That's rejection. I'm okay with rejection. Yeah. You're going to get that. You're going to get some people that hang up. Now, in some cases, it's it's gone, especially if they're violently telling you where to go. You know what? That's probably somebody I don't really want to work with anyway. Yeah. But in other cases, when people respond with a negative, there's a negative response. If they're still on the call, I've still got a chance. What do I mean by that? You've got to accept their position. Never argue with them. You've caught me at a bad time. I don't need what you've got. You've just got to completely, to kill that tension, is just accept their position. And I shared an objection handling call with you last week, Dave, which follows the same principle, right? I'm sorry I've caught you at a bad time. It sounds like you're right in the middle of something. Yeah. You've got to just kill it there and then, right? Because that kills the tension point. Now, there's two ways in which you can manage this. You can either go, look, given I've caught you at the wrong time, what time would be better for me to give you a call back to talk about X, right? That's one way of doing it. And in some cases, because you've responded and you've heard what they've had to say, you've provided a bit of empathy, you've lowered that tension. Some people will be like,
change your tone as well.
Correct. You've got tonality is key, right? You've got to change your tone, drop that tone, slow it down, right? Don't get defensive. That's another thing. Never get defensive. It's not about you. You've caught somebody, they don't really know who you are. There's no relationship there, yeah? This is the other thing. Detach from the outcome. It's not about you. Put your ego aside for a moment. They don't even know who you are, right? Even if they do know who you are, they're not saying, I'm rejecting you as an individual, just rejecting what you've got to tell me at the moment. And in most cases, they're not even rejecting that because they haven't heard what you've got to say. This is why detach, just disconnect the emotion. One strategy is to say, hey, sorry, I've caught you at a bad time. Actually, I don't really say sorry. It sounds like I've caught you at a really bad time and you're in the middle of something, right? One strategy is, when would be a better time for me to call back to talk about X? Or you say, look, caught you at a bad time. Let me shoot you an email and I'll give you a buzz back next week. You've got two strategies to leverage. Now, I'm not that type of guy that is going to give you hey, follow this exact blueprint. Why? Because it just depends. There's so many different nuances that will occur in a call, right? You got to listen to their tone. You got to listen to their background noise. Try to hear, are they shopping? Yeah. Are they in the car with kids, right? Are they at home and there's some racket? Like, there are moments when you can try to bring back the reason, Dave, and there are moments when you'll go, you know what? I've caught you at a really bad time. Let me just shoot you a quick email or shoot you a LinkedIn note and I'll give you a buzz back next week. That's it.
You're quite skilled at this, right? You've been doing it for a long time. You've put a lot of reps in. Would you recommend having some form of visual cue if you're a newbie in relation to, if you get this objection, here's a little quick how to handle it? Like something on screen or printed out where, again, it's just that level of confidence where if someone tells me to F off or gives me an objection, I've got a little cue card there that I can reference quickly.
Well, first and foremost, for every call, like this is why, again, building out your call framework. I know many of you listening to this will say, I don't like scripts. I'm going to challenge you a minute and say, if you took your last 100 calls, throw it through AI, the transcript, and tell it to show you the framework and the script that you're using, you're definitely using a script, right? We all do it. We will all use a format, a structure. We'll use keywords at the start, at the middle, at the end. I'm a big advocate for scripts, but I know I get so much, I've trained thousands of people around the world, and I often get pushback when I say script. So I change it to framework. Intro, middle, ending, right? As part of that as well, try to think about what could be some of the barriers that they raise before they raise it. And we did this, Dave, back in Locomote days during COVID. Nobody was traveling. We anticipated what the CFO's response would be with, why do I have to think about travel? Nobody's traveling right now. We actually used that as the reason to connect. So we turned the potential objection into the reason why they would want to meet, right? And what happened?
More calls got accepted, more meetings got booked, and more deals got done.
And that's the difference between a salesperson and a sales professional, Dave, right? A sales professional is going to show up to the call prepared. They're going to do that pre-work, that's state zero. Do a bit of pre-work, which is get my mindset right. Doesn't matter how good your script is. Doesn't matter how good you are as a cold caller, right? It's the work you do behind the scenes that matter. That's what our great mate Carl Valeri says, yeah? It's the work you do that nobody sees, which is the preparation stage. So do the prep, get your mindset right? Get your energy levels right. Role play. Again, if you're a pro, you're going to role play. The best football players in the world, the best athletes in the world, they practice. They don't just turn up on the day expecting the result. So you got to practice. That's why role playing is awesome, right? Just go through your motion. And if you haven't got a colleague, if you're not working in the boiler room and you're working remotely, then jump on Zoom, jump on Teams, whichever platform you're using, and say, hey, I'm just going to quickly do a quick role play with you. Can you be this person? We do it in Growth Forum, Dave. We do tactical sessions where we create a scenario and we role play. And it's the fucking best, right? Because people can then test the framework first, see if it works, kind of hear some of the language, maybe some of the keywords that they need to use, and they can adjust it. So again, get your mindset right prior. Second, get your structure, your framework, role play a little bit. Third, Start to come up with what would be some of the objections or some of the barriers that would stop this person from taking a meeting with me. Fourth, you got to do your research. Yeah, you've got to make sure that you're earning the right to get time in your prospect's calendar. Just calling somebody unprepared, not knowing anything about their business, not doing a quick LinkedIn check, like you literally spend not even 30 seconds to a minute doing a tad of research, and you can find 3 or 4 things that you can leverage in the call, right? So the excuse of I don't have time is not what a pro will do. This is what we see the top performers do differently. Yeah, these are some of the key things that they do. The secrets, we'll call them secrets. The secrets are just fundamental things.